Hello, welcome to January 9th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is an exercise that I do every morning shortly after waking up. It's now 4:31 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles and to see how I did applying these to the challenges and opportunities I encountered yesterday and to plan for the coming day. And in between those two activities, I recount each of my 7 objectives and 34 principles. Let's begin, and good morning, partner. First, last night and yesterday. Well, it was a typical night. I was up. I don't seem to be able to avoid waking up before the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. Usually I'm up around an hour beforehand, 3 a.m. or so. On some nights it's even earlier, maybe 2:30, something like that. Last night, I think it was around 3, but it was a little bit different. The tone has changed. The focus has changed. It's less about worry and more about activity. I'll get the focus right there. The activity being thinking, script writing, the new principle that I added, principle number 33. The effort to forecast the day, and in fact I can forecast just even minutes ahead now. I'll get to that in just a minute when I get to the principle. But what I was doing was forecasting this morning. I was forecasting the alarm going off and me doing my normal routine to wake up and clean up and get over here and start this video. Like Juan said, the mind wants something. I can either give it something positive to dwell on, or it will make up worries. And in this case, I preclude the possibility of making up worries by filling my mind with positive outcomes, recognizing that things will happen along the way. Speed bumps will occur. Life will not go well. The bullseye aim, etc. So that's what I did, and it seemed to work. I feel very good right now, and just a slight twinge of anxiety regarding the coming work day. Nothing in particular. It's hard to believe it's already a Monday again. I remember last Monday when I had a steering committee meeting to lead, that I had that on my mind, and even then I was surprised that it wasn't too deeply or heavily on my mind, because I was using the same principle then, this principle of script writing. As for yesterday, it was a good and pleasant day. Our chores were done, our shopping was done, so Yumiko and I basically spent our day just doing things around the house. I went to the beach twice, once in the morning to do a book reading, again in the evening to swim in the sea and also to run along the beach. I ran about a mile. It's a new thing to be able to run and not be in pain. Yumiko took down the Christmas trees while I was out. I did go out and get an extension cord from the home store to use on the trickle charger on my bike. And we did some planning for the trip. I outlined the agenda for one of our first day in Shizuoka, the houses that we're going to see. It was a good day. It was a fun day. Nice, full, rich day. Challenges and opportunities. I think the only challenge I encountered necessarily was discovering that the battery on my bike was dead. I expected it was going to be dead. The days have been so cold and rainy, and it didn't turn the bike over. But I do have that trickle charger, and I plugged it in. Hopefully it'll charge it up. If not, then I'll just get AAA to tow it. I've got a appointment at Lior's Moto Ride next Monday, which is a day off, and I'll take the bike in to get it fixed. 4-day weekend coming up. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Wow. I'll have to use that time to get ready for the trip. All right, let's do the good life. 7 objectives and 34 principles that I use to live a better life. And by the way, all of these are outlined in my book, Going Alone, available on Amazon or on bookstores, or you can pick it up on a copy on my website, although I tend to only make it available there at particular times. When I get a little behind on shipments, I'll take it offline, which I better do today because I'm definitely behind. Let's begin. First, my first objective is to be always ready to die. This means that I need to have my life in order, in a steady state, not done necessarily, although my life typically is done every day, but I want to have things ready to go. So if I die, I'm not leaving my family a mess. This means my affairs are in order, my relationships are in order, and my personal life mission is in order. And they are. So I guess I'm ready to go. Not that I want to. I'm having too much, what is it? I wouldn't call it necessarily all fun. Life is very difficult, of course, for all of us. I'm enjoying the challenge. I'm enjoying the journey. That's a better way to say it. The ups and the downs. Too much to go too soon. So I have to take care of myself. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. To not let my days just slip away. Watching TV and eating junk food and dreaming of better days. I'm going to work to make those days better today. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's precisely what I'm doing right now as I recite the Good Life Creed. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who reacts well to the challenges and opportunities that I meet throughout the day. Number 5 is to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day. 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I'm doing things that are actually within my scope of capability, and perhaps not attempting things that are beyond me. Some things are beyond me, clearly. A lot of things, in fact. Maybe most things. But the things that I can do are many as well. And then lastly, objective number 7 is to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Speaking of which, one of the things that happened yesterday was after my book reading, and I did my book reading on a Sunday instead of a Saturday, because when I showed up on Saturday, I had forgotten to bring my book. This is the only copy that I have, and it was sitting here when it should have been in my bag. I usually keep a copy in my bag for the beach and a copy here for this activity, but I'm down to one copy. So I didn't do it on Saturday, and I came back on Sunday. And while I was doing that, I was doing a difficult chapter. Difficult in terms of it's very long. It's long, it's difficult to get the chapter read before the battery in the phone goes out, even from 100%. I was more than 2.5 hours into the reading when I got down to 10% battery, and I had to give up. And I didn't rewatch the whole thing, but I was curious how the quality of the live stream was. So I watched back the part of it from after it had uploaded, and I realized that my haste to get it done, I had kind of ruined the whole experience, because I had just raced through everything. I wasn't doing things slowly and deliberately. I wasn't reading carefully. So my goal now with my future book readings is not to complete a chapter, but simply to read for an hour. And then I can read it at whatever pace I want. So I'll have a bookmark. I'll keep a bookmark in the book about where I was in the book, and that's how I'll do it. And so if I don't finish a chapter, then I'll just carry on next time from where the bookmark was left off. That's tricky then I'll have to do that. I'll have to segregate, because I have playlists broken up by chapter. I'll have to do that differently. Well, yeah. Maybe I'll just change it to the beach book readings. Yeah, I'll work on that. All right, those are my 7 objectives. Now, my 34 principles. First of these is the principle of war, to always be fighting against propositions of truth and what I already have onboarded as something that I believe. In this way, I can be very careful and guarded about the state of my mind, in regards to what I believe. Number two, principle number two, is the principle of reason. I want to be a reasonable human being. And to that end, I have 4 sub-principles. I want to be honest with myself and others, objective in my worldview, a fierce skeptic, and I want to be able to withstand and, in fact, appreciate the opportunity to feel humiliation when I discover that I'm wrong, particularly publicly. What a blessing. My third principle is the homunculus. I don't believe I have a soul, or any of us does, but I do have a consciousness, this thing that I'm using right now. That's all my homunculus is, my consciousness rather than a soul. That would make a good title right there. Consciousness rather than a soul. The next principle is the anchor hold. This idea is my reminder that my consciousness is part of me. It's part of my biology, my essence of this structure of mine. And when this body dies, my consciousness is going to wink out and be gone forever. That's all. Next is the home of good and evil. That's the funny name of the principle. The home of good and evil suggests that right and wrong don't exist as absolutes out there in the universe. Instead, right and wrong, good and bad, are opinions that we hold, we maintain, we develop, maintain, and hold. Better put, we develop, hold, and maintain, hopefully, within our minds, by way of the homunculus. And as such, we need to work hard to make sure we're holding good ones. Next comes the principle of purpose. I have 3 purpose in my life. The first of these is, I call it biology, which is the mandate to find a mate, reproduce, and raise a child. 2 is my second purpose is to be a virtuous human being, where virtue is simply pursuing the well-being, pursuing the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. Say it clearly, Kurt. Number 3 is pursuing whatever personal mission I have endeavored to strive after. And for me, that's the sharing of my story and going alone and the resulting good life creed. Next is the principle called the atomic principle. Everything is just molecules and atoms, and we are all subject to dissolve away in our structure. We're all headed towards entropy. That's all. Very cheery thought. Yeah, there's not a lot of cheer in my good life creed, is there? There's a lot of death, destruction, suffering, and also development of the will and capability and the discipline of self-control to eke a good life out of the difficulty that we face. The next principle is called nature. Everything has some particular nature, including individuals, days, objects, circumstance, everything. And it's good to recognize what that nature is so that we can do better managing our lives. The next principle is called the pirate ride. It's a funny name. It refers to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, where the animatronic pirates and the dog and the women are all doing their thing forever and ever, motivated by the mechanisms around them and within their bodies. I think that's us too. I don't think we have a free will. I think our will is compatible with the universe at large. and we are prodded and pushed and jostled around by circumstance. I think it's to the point that free will is an absolute illusion. A very convincing one, though, huh? You'd think that would be freeing to one like me who believes it, but it isn't. It's such a convincing illusion that I can't get over the conviction of that it seems real. So I hold this one tentatively, because it's a faith-based position, right? In fact, it's sinful for me to believe it, but I believe it nonetheless. I believe it so much, and it's withstood my scrutiny so far and so well that it deserves its own place in the creed. Pardon me. 4:45 a.m. after all. The next principle is called maturity. Maturity is that state we arrive when we are, one, wise. We have the experience of our past successes and failures, so it takes time to collect wisdom. Two, we have the fortitude to do better in the future, to avoid our mistakes and to improve upon what works. The third sub-principle is called integrity, and I simply add that there because I want to remind myself that if I can have the fortitude to do better, then I can live a life of improved alignment between my values and the end results. Next comes the social principle. We are social creatures. We need each other, and our best ends are social ends. To that end, we need to be diplomatic with one another, working out agreements about what constitutes justice. It's the second sub-principle, justice. And then we'll link arms and conspire together to conspire in the best sense, to make that world real. Now comes the principle of family, a reminder to not only build connections, but build long-term connections. Create a family. It doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional nuclear family. It can be whatever family you want. It can consist of friends and co-workers even. But it's good to have a binding, connecting network of people in our lives. Next comes the principle called public speaking, which is my reminder to work hard to develop good communications and listening skills. To use the best words that I can, to have a rich vocabulary, but then to use that vocabulary judiciously so as not to be showy or just trying to seek to impress, but to help to get my point across more clearly. Also to use prudence to filter my ideas through my values, and felicity to season my thoughts with my emotions, just enough, not too much. And then to avoid rumor and gossip, and to strive after eloquence through modeling and practice. Next comes temperance, our ability to control our consumption of all things in life. Life will not go well. Things are going to happen along the way. The horror show, horrible things are going to happen to us and our loved ones. That which must be borne, carried. We have to carry the weight of the things that won't go well and the horrible things that are going to happen to us and our loved ones and others around us. And then finally, the Feast of Offal, a caution to avoid spilling out my upset over publicly onto my family and my loved ones and others at large, and to avoid consuming the upset of others. It doesn't mean I don't care. It just means that I have to be careful not to swallow the mess that they're spilling out, because we can contaminate and hurt one another that way. It's better to keep my mouth shut, let them have their say, and then offer them a tissue and a shoulder to cry on and be there for them without eating that feast. Next comes distraction, which is something that we do to avoid the great indifference, the next principle, which is the emptiness of the universe at large, a universe without God. And we distract ourselves with all the things that we do in life to keep ourselves busy and our minds occupied. so that we don't have to think about death and oblivion. And the fact that no one's really looking after us. We're on our own. Next comes the best seat in the house, to be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing at all times. And then the restless man, young men and young women who desire after some adventure in life. It's good to have that, to abide that restlessness and do something about it, which leads to the next principle, the path of wildness, which is what we step on when we decide to head out and have an adventure in life. Which leads to the next principle, the great life adventure, which is the yield and the gain of having had a great life, of having stepped on the path of wildness and had the courage to do something about the restlessness. And then finally, the last of four principles here, the risk of avoiding risk. The recognition that it behooves us to do something about that early restlessness rather than letting it fester, because it won't go away. It'll bother us for the rest of our lives if we don't do something about it. But if we do, we then get the yield of a great life adventure that is our story, that we can carry with us and enjoy for the rest of our lives. And it also has the effect of quelling, placating even, that restlessness that may then give us peace in our older age. The next principle is called sin and damnation. I don't believe in a soul or a God or any heaven or hell or afterlife, but I do believe that we can sin against well-being, and that can lead to a sort of damnation in the here and now as a consequence. There are 8 sins in my worldview, these being falsity, being untrue, credulity, being gullible, faith, believing things without good evidence, basically believing things based on the fact that we want to believe, superstition, categorically non-identified nonsense, dogma, belief based on tradition and consensus, authority, belief based on being impressed by someone's eloquence or speech or rhetoric, rumor, spreading rumors, and then engaging in gossip. Those are the 8 sins that result in damnation in the here and now. Next comes complete oblivion. Since I don't believe in a soul, or God, or afterlife, or heaven or hell, I believe that when we're dead, that's the end, absolutely. Our consciousness, our homunculus, becomes no more for the rest of all time, trillions of years to come. That means no reunion with loved ones, no reconciliation of differences, and no justice after death. Next comes the season of philosophy. I think I've been forgetting that one lately. It's a time of life to remember to record whatever words come when they come. And it's good to practice. It's good to have an interesting life circumstance that can tease out interesting language from our lives, to cause the muse to speak up. My simple caution here is to have a pen and pencil ready, or a camera, or whatever you use, art or a guitar, to record and to get out whatever words come, whatever emotions come maybe. Next comes the bullseye aim. No, it's time for my new principle. Script writing goes here. I moved it, I had it near the end there, but now I've moved it right here before bullseye aim. Script writing is a technique that I've begun using thanks to my friend Juan, who gave me a suggestion about 3 or 4 weeks ago to mentally fill in the blanks for the moments ahead, so that I take charge of my subconscious thoughts, or even my conscious thoughts. Usually they're subconscious kind of though. And what I do is I think about what's going to happen in the future, in the immediate future, the midterm future, and the long-term future. And I play it out like a script in my head. And it's funny how my 2 things happen. One, my subconscious, the little voice, that internal dialogue, seems to be appeased, and it goes along with me, and it shuts up, and it stops worrying so much. 2, the second interesting thing is those things seem to happen the way I plan them out more often. Not always, but increasingly so. Quite amazing. Probably that's because my script writing is realistic. I'm not asking for unusual or planning for unusual or exceptional or impossible things. I'm asking for simple things. Waking up, going through my morning routine of cleaning up and feeding the dogs and doing this and doing a good job at all of those. That's a very reasonable script. So I guess it's no wonder that it happens. It happens better, but it takes the tinge off of the negative side of me that tends to want to forecast and imagine the worst. That becomes quieted. It's a powerful tool, and I'm just beginning to explore it. Then comes the next principle, which I deliberately placed this principle of script writing right here so that the next one, the bullseye aim, could be there to remind me that even though I'm scripting out a solution and a plan, the bullseye aim suggests that it's rare that plans hit the mark square. It's like rare when you throw a dart that it hits the center. You should plan for it to miss sometimes, most of the time perhaps, to be off by some degree. After that comes the uphill climb, the next principle. A suggestion that I should work hard to finish today a little higher up the mountain of life, whatever that is. Just the improvement of our self-control and discipline and accumulated wisdom and maturity higher than I did yesterday by not wasting my time and by capitalizing on my experience and doing better. Arena and utility is next. A reminder to keep my principles handy, sharp, and available, and along with my objectives so that they can help me to achieve my objectives in life and have them always, these things always at the ready. By thinking about them constantly, not constantly, but consistently, every day at least during this episode of the Good Life Meditation, which is what I call this activity. Nothing is enough is the next principle, second to last. A reminder that I won't find peace or comfort necessarily in things, or not much, not deep and lasting, and to seek after instead a peace that comes from deeper within. Very wooey. I'm just exploring that one too. And this brings me to my 34th and final principle, the principle of fun. A simple reminder to strive to have a good day today, to have fun today, and also to remember the fun of yesterday and to plan for the fun of tomorrow. So to that end, let's see, what could I do today that will be fun? Well, it'll be fun feeding the dogs. I like seeing them jump around. It'll be fun going to the beach and going for my swim and running into the sea and maybe jogging for a mile. It'll be fun, great fun, to have dinner with my wife, to watch my TV show while she's cooking. It'll be fun to take a break during work. It might even be fun to actually work. It's fun to accomplish things. It'll be fun to get through my email, to get through the project managers meeting in the morning, to get the Wave 2 team ready for our Go Live event on Thursday, to prepare the steering committee for the meeting next week. All of these things. You know what? We haven't had that meeting. I think it ran out of time. Kurt, that's why we haven't had the meeting. Nobody noticed. Get it on the books, Kurt. It's time to get it on the books. Oh my gosh. I just realized that. I typically let my meetings run out at the end of the year and have one important meeting that I didn't have last week, but that's probably okay because we were on vacation, but I better get it back on the books. Nobody noticed. Anyway, there's my Good Life Creed, all laid out in all of its details. Now, I finished this up by forecasting the day, and I think I just kind of did. So I think I'm good at that. So in addition to all of that, I do need to read a chapter today. So I'll read I finished a book yesterday, Lawrence Krauss's A Universe from Nothing. So I'll pick another book that I need to begin reading, and I'll start doing that. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done. Take care.